So hi everybody. So Red and I we're going to do the Tennessee Valley train station. So we're going to go over here and see if we can go on a train ride today. Okay, so we're going into the little train depot. Okay, so this is inside the train station. We got our tickets for 3:30. Okay, so this is the train tracks. We're waiting on the train. We're going to be loading here.
Please see the ticket agent at the ticket office. We hope you enjoy your visit today and want to thank you for riding with the
Alright everybody, so that's going to be our train. We're waiting on right there. Okay guys, so we're on our train. Here we go. So it says Central Florida built in 1947, and we got a car type, like a coach seat. No smoking back there.
By the East Tennessee and Georgia Railroad Company. The East Tennessee and Georgia, as built, connected Knoxville, Tennessee with Dalton, Georgia. The only way to go to Chattanooga by rail was to go from Knoxville to Dalton on the ET&G and then catch another train on the Western and Atlantic Railroad and return to Chattanooga that way. That changed, however, in August of 1859 with the completion of the right up on the hill above us, and it is still used today by the modern Norfolk Southern Corporation. The original 1859 roadbed can be seen down below us to the left on that gravel pathway. And in just a moment you'll see a tree with a yellow stripe painted on it on the left side of the train, indicating the high water mark of the flood of 1867, in which the waters of South Chickamauga Creek rose 9 feet above the railroad. We're now crossing South Chickamauga Creek at 65 feet high and 360 feet in length. This is our longest and highest bridge. Over the Western and Atlantic Railroad momentarily. Now, the Western and Atlantic was the very first railroad completed into the city of Chattanooga, being completed in May of 1850. It was built by the state of Georgia, operated by the state of Georgia, and to this day is still owned by the state of Georgia. So yes, you heard me correctly, Georgia does own land in Tennessee, besides Neyland Stadium. Go Dogs. Chattanooga. The reason being, it is the Georgia State Railroad. The state of Tennessee didn't exactly like the idea of their neighbor to the south building a railroad across their lines. And so the state legislator secured permission for the Western and Atlantic Railroad to cross the state line into downtown Chattanooga, where they built a small yard and station. Today, though still owned by the state of Georgia, the Western and Atlantic is now operated by CSX Transportation as their Atlanta to Chattanooga main line 100, built in 1943 for the U.S. Army and used at the volunteer plant here in Chattanooga, and locomotive number 907. 907 was built in 1947 by the American Car and Foundry Corporation of St. Charles, Missouri for the Central of Georgia Railway, and it was assigned to a train called the Nancy Hanks II, operating daily between Savannah and Atlanta, Georgia, with 8 intermediate stops in between. The Flamingo, the Dixie Limited, and the Man-O-War. Number 906 is unique from the other cars on our train today in the fact that it is a segregated car, or Jim Crow car, and it still retains a central dividing wall in the middle that divides the car into 2 distinct halves. It's one of only 2 known examples of Jim Crow cars in the United States maintained in active condition with that wall intact. the other one being car 1111 at the Southeastern Railway Museum in Duluth, Georgia. Other cars of that style that have that wall intact are merely display pieces, while others that operate have had their walls removed. Invented at the time of this tunnel's construction. And that underground spring had weakened the stratified limestone rock that composes much of Missionary Ridge in this area to the point where engineers feared blasting might actually cause a total collapse of the tunnel's construction site. Therefore,
Going through a tunnel.
now, at various points throughout this tunnel, there is less than 1 foot of clearance on either side of this train, so please do not lean one way or the other too far to the left or right. In November of 1863, as part of the Chattanooga campaign, Ulysses Grant. So they attempted to dislodge the Confederate attack. Lookout Mountain fell first in what became known as the Battle Above the Clouds when General Joseph Hooker captured it back from the Confederate Army. And the first attempt to drive the Confederates off of Missionary Ridge, however, ended in an utter failure in which General Sherman's troops were repelled by Confederate forces. During the assault on Missionary Ridge.
Okay, so this is our train. We're going to the train gift shop. So we have Dr. Pepper, Bart's Root Beer. They have got Sprite. We're at an old train station. Here's a Dr. Pepper. And I'm looking for a Coke. They have Coke. They don't have Pepsi.
Clover Colony. This car was built in 1920 and used extensively by the Southern Pacific Railroad. During its use by Southern Pacific, it was allegedly featured in the movie Some Like It Hot, starring Marilyn Monroe. The first movie we were directly involved in the production of was a 1971 released film called Fool's Parade, starring Jimmy Stewart. And that movie featured steam locomotive number 4501 in it. 4501 was also featured in Eleanor and Franklin on Hallmark in 1975. It was about Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt.
We're going back.
In the 1980s, Steam Engine 630 was featured in the Leatherheads with George Clooney, Water for Elephants with Robert Pattinson, Reese Witherspoon, and Christoph Waltz, and The Lost Valentine with Betty White and Jennifer Love Hewitt. We've also been a part of a number of TV shows over the years. Some of these TV shows include Johnny Cash's 1974 TV special, Riding the Rails. We were in a 1981 episode of The Waltons. We were featured in the series Tracks Ahead with Spencer Christian. Great scenic railway journeys on years as well.
Back in the tunnel. Here we go, guys.
Music videos. Most of these music videos have been country music, primarily, with Nashville and the Grand Ole Opry being just a couple hours up the road. Just a handful of these music videos that we've been in over the years include productions by the Hollanders, Confederate Railroad, Cody McCarver, Dirk Bentley. We were in the video for Atlantic Railroad momentarily. Now, the Western and Atlantic was the very first railroad completed into the city of Chattanooga, being completed in May of 1850. It was built by the state of Georgia, operated by the state of Georgia, and to this day is still owned by the state of Georgia. So yes, you heard me correctly. Georgia does own land in Tennessee, besides Neyland Stadium. Go Dogs. Now, when that railroad was being built, it almost did not make it to Chattanooga. The reason being, it is the Georgia State Railroad. The state of Tennessee didn't exactly like the idea of their neighbor to the south building a railroad across their lines. Can't say I really blame them. I wouldn't want my neighbor building a railroad across my backyard either. And that same gentleman I mentioned earlier, Colonel James Whiteside, using his power as a Tennessee state legislator, secured permission for the Western and Atlantic Railroad to cross the state line into downtown Chattanooga, where they built a small yard and station. Today, though still owned by the state of Georgia, the Western and Atlantic is now operated by CSX Transportation as their Atlanta to Chattanooga main line under a lease from the state of Georgia. And they dispatch that line from their headquarters in Jacksonville, Florida. Coming up on the right, you'll see some of our other locomotives awaiting restoration here at Allied Metals. You'll see locomotives 576.
Here's one from Louisville and Nashville called Cross Keys Tavern. And they have all different kinds throughout the year. Our train conductor was telling us they have one for Halloween, one for Christmas. They have like the Polar Express. They have diner carts. And I would like to come back and do the one for Halloween. It's called the Train of Erie. Train called the Grand Trunk Western. Hey everybody, wanted to say thank you for joining Red and I on our Chattanooga train ride in the Tennessee Valley. It was a blast. Everybody was really nice. Heads real thumbs up for all the conductors and the team and everything. They're really awesome. They got all kinds of stuff. So if you're ever in the area and want to go on a little train ride, check them out. So thanks guys for liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel. I really do appreciate everybody that follows along with me and supports me and everything. You guys are awesome, and I hope you guys have a wonderful and blessed day.